So what is an option? Who's ever heard of options? Yes, a couple of people only. Okay. Basically, there are two kinds of options. How many? Two. Only two. There are only two kinds of options. One is called a call option, and the other one's called a put option. And they're not acronyms, that's exactly what they are. One's called a call option, the other one's called a put option. Okay. I'm going to do an illustration for you. I'm going to compare for you the difference between what is the share market. So I want you to imagine that this side of the room here in the front is the share market. Then I also want you to imagine that over here, this is the options market. So let's practice. Share market, options. Shares, options. So let's go. Go.
Shares, options, 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 shares, options, shares.
Well done, I think you got it. Okay, now, this is how it works. Options, over there in the options market, are a derivative of shares. They're a derivative of shares. In other words, an option is influenced by what's happening in the share market in order to determine how much it's worth. You happy with that? Very good. Okay, now, the fascinating thing is that not all shares have options that relate to them. Okay, there's only about 100 of them. But it's enough to make a living out of, and that's all that's important. Do you want 4,800 or so? There's about 4,000 shares in the Australian marketplace. Only about 100 of them, maybe a little bit less, are optionable. Would you rather to have to focus on a really big list or a small list where you can make really good money? Fantastic, good, I knew you'd see it my way. Okay, gotcha. Now, basically in the share market, when a particular share goes up in value, then over in the options market, a call option that relates to that share also goes up in value. That's how it works. But here's the interesting thing. When shares go down in value, guess what? Oh, by the way, if you bought shares and they're going down in value, would you be making or losing money? You would be losing money. However, if you then went and purchased a put option, it will actually go up in value. Can you believe that? Who thinks that's amazing? So remember I promised you I was going to tell you this evening in my advertising, I said to you I'm going to show you a way to make money even when the market goes down. So later on I'm going to show you a way of being able to identify when shares are going down. Would you then buy the shares?
Yes.
No, you wouldn't. You would instead consider purchasing put options. Fantastic, well done. Who's ever heard of a market crash? Yes. Do you know that's a whole bunch of crap? It's just the media's way of making out that the money falls into a black hole. Sure, shares do go down in value, but does it make any economic sense that you can take all the wealth in the market and just throw it away? It doesn't work that way. What actually happens when events like that occur? The money goes out of the hands of the people who don't know what they're doing into the hands of the few who know exactly what they're doing. And one of the things that enticed me to start looking at options in the first place a number of years ago was when a friend of mine actually made something like $345,000 in like a 48-hour period on one of the bank shares during September 11. And I thought, hang on, people are losing money. How are you doing that? And it was through the use of put options. Now the incredible thing about put options is this. Do you realise that the market overall goes up in value? Yep, over historic periods it's gone up in value. But do you realise that it goes up slowly, but when it falls really fast in comparison? So if you know how to capitalise on those opportunities, you can make a lot of money very, very quickly. And put options is one example of doing so. In fact, I was able to walk out of my full-time job during our last bear market. A bear market is when the market is going down. So a lot of those well-known companies that we all know, that people are complaining, losing money, you know who they are. Okay, some of them is like this and all that, yep. I made an absolute fortune through that. Yeah, very good. Interesting? Okay. Just to change the topic a little bit, what do we look for in an investment? If we were going to invest our money, what would we look for?
Profit.
Return, fantastic. Return profit, fantastic. Yes. Yep, anything else? Security. Oh, you've done it again. Oh man, this guy's right on it, security. So basically, what I got out of that is you would look for security and you would look at a profit that either could come through an income or capital growth. Would that be fair to say that? Would they be the three things that would be important to you when it comes to investing? Fantastic. So let me tell you about a strategy called the protected buy right. And the protected buy right is a fascinating strategy because it actually incorporates all three of those elements that are important to us. And so the first thing it gives you is insurance, in other words, security. The second thing it gives you is capital growth. Capital growth is simply where you buy something today that is of a certain value, and over time it will rise in value. You all understand that? Okay, good. What the protected buy rate also offers is income. In other words, getting real money on a regular basis. And in this case, it's on a monthly basis. So it actually incorporates all three of those criteria. Now, how we actually use this strategy, by the way, I didn't invent this strategy, it's actually a commonly known strategy, okay? How we get our insurance from this strategy is to use put options. So I'll be telling you about put options shortly. How we actually get capital growth from the strategy is by picking some shares sensibly, by choosing well-selected shares. And finally, we get regular income through the use of call options. Okay. So the first question you're probably asking is, what is a put option? Would that be fair to say that? Am I allowed to tell you? Now, I want you to imagine, remember what's on the left-hand side? Shares. What's on the right? Options. Okay. This is my bad board writing, okay? I actually write nice cursive when I write on paper. But if I did that now, it's too squiggly and it'd be hard to read. Okay. Now, if you purchase some shares, if you had purchased some shares for $10, what's the most you can lose on those shares? $10. $10. Your maximum risk is $10. In other words, those shares can drop from $10 to zero. Okay. Does that sound exciting? Sorry? Not very. No, okay. Who in the room drives a car? That's right, 3 people. Of those 3 people, who has insurance? Yeah? Would someone like to volunteer some information about their car and their insurance? Just simple, just what the car's worth and what you pay for insurance. Anyone?
Every year the car goes down in value and the insurance goes up.
Okay, that's not quite the detail I wanted. But anyway, okay, so...
$50,000, $800 insurance.
Oh, fantastic. What's your name? David. Okay, David just said the car's worth 50 grand. In other words, it's insured for around 50 grand. Let's not get into market value and all that crap, okay? Would you agree that it is insured for 50 grand, yeah? Yet, so something in the past, David, had happened to your car, which we hope doesn't happen going forward, but if something in the past had happened to your car, the insurance company would have paid you 50 grand. Yeah, fair enough, okay. But you only paid $800 for that. Wow, that's interesting. Are they crazy? How do they make their money?
From the ones that don't have any claims.
From the ones that don't have any claims. Okay, I get what you're saying. So if you get enough people together to pay all those $800 amounts, all the $800, but only one of them makes a claim occasionally, you actually end up in a profitable situation. Okay, is that how it works? Okay, that sounds like, I get that. I understand that. So, what do they call it, $800? They call it something per. Premium. Okay, gotcha. So basically what the insurance policy gives you is the right to get $50,000 for your car no matter what happens to it. In other words, it's the equivalent to selling your car to the insurance company for 50 grand even though it's only worth $10. Is that right? If something had happened to it. I get it. Okay. So, let me just relate that back to a put option. If you purchased a put option, now your insurance policy is a contract between you and the insurance company, isn't it? And it's normally a contract that's valid for about 12 months. Would you agree with that? Yes. So I'm going to show you the equivalent in the share market. I'm going to give you a simple way, then I'm going to complicate it for you. Is that okay? Okay, good. Now, I want you to imagine that this put option is a contract between you and the silly person who sold it to you. Much like the insurance company were crazy enough to take on the responsibility for your car. Same deal. And that contract is valid for 12 months. With me so far? Now, this put option will normally relate to a share. So let's say this share is called XYZ share, then this put option would be an XYZ put option. What's missing in this diagram? How much we paid for it, hey? Yeah? Now you know how David paid $800 but it insured him for $50,000? I'm going to suggest that this put option may be, and it will vary depending on a whole bunch of parameters. So don't hold me to the numbers, I just want to get the concept across to you. Let's say this $10 put option only costs you, say, $1.20. Okay, now this $1.20 is the premium that we pay. Okay? That's the premium that you pay. This $10 here, which is the equivalent of the agreed value, is what we call the exercise price. It'd be good if I could spell exercise. Can't you tell? I don't know how to spell exercise. I used to be hot, and then I met Freya and she cooks like no one else. I'm lucky enough to have the pleasure of an Italian family cooking for me all the time. And that's where this comes from. Anyway. Okay, so exercise is, yeah, it would be really good in my life, but got better things to do. Now, what we're saying here is we've purchased a put option that is valid for 12 months. In other words, in 12 months' time, it will expire. We paid only $1.20 for it, but it actually gives us the privilege, the right, to sell these shares for $10. Okay, now just to role play this, I'm going to show you something. Can you buy shares in the share market on their own for $10? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You've got to pay the broker.
Yes, you can. Okay. Right. Yes, there are brokerage fees involved. You're right, but I'm not saying that now. Okay. Can you buy a put option on its own in the options market?
Probably not.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can actually purchase shares on their own, or you could say, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. Those shares are going down in value. I would rather just go and buy some put options from my options account. Okay, now I want you to imagine that this piece of paper is what I've just illustrated to you on the board over there. So, in owning this piece of paper, what privileges does it give me? It gives me the right to sell these shares for $10. So, if these stupid shares, which I have not bought, and this is where it varies from insurance, because you need to have the car that goes with the insurance policy, don't you? This is where it varies from the insurance. If these shares do go down to $1, would you get excited about having one of these?
Yes.
Absolutely, because even though you don't... Can I get a volunteer, please? Anybody? Yes, come on up. Can you stand over there, please, sir? Can we give him a big hand? There you go. Okay, just hold these shares for a second, okay? Now, hold the shares up at $10, and I've got these. Now, they crash down to $1. Now, I only own this, but this gives me the right to sell those shares for $10. But I don't have those shares, do I? So what can I do? I can ring my broker and instruct my broker that because I have one of these, go on my behalf and buy those shares for $1, and then on my behalf I want you then immediately to sell it for $10, and I would have exercised my option and I would have made a profit of $9 less what I paid for it. In other words, in that transaction I've made a profit of $7.80 in a falling market. Who thinks that's absolutely fascinating? So we all get that.
Just go over that again.
Sure.
You're buying them.
Can I help you up here, sir?
You're buying them. $1 head down.
No, one at a time. Oh, God, have I got another one? Oh, bugger. Did I really do that? Ah,
You tore it up.
I tore it up. Okay. Hold there for a sec.
Make another one.
Put. There we go. what I'd like you to do is purchase this put option C and go and stand in the options market. Okay. So what has he bought? So can you just turn it around and face them? So yep, that's it. Good. Okay, good. Now, what is he? He's just bought a put option and he's paid how much for it? $1.20. And that put option gives him the right to sell some shares for $10. Does he own the share? No. Now, when he started this, these shares were at $10. Then there's this market crash that we're all so afraid of. By the way, are we still afraid of it? No, great. Okay, and suddenly these shares that were $10 are now going down to $1. Alan? Yeah, well, is Alan excited? Yes, because Alan has a piece of paper that says he can still sell these shares for $10. If only he could get his hands on it. That's your concern. Your broker will do it on your behalf, and it's the net effect. You don't even have to go and get a bank loan. So it's not as if you've got to run up to the bank manager and say, no, you don't understand this at all. You got to give me 30 grand. And look, it's 3:30. I've got to get this done by 4 o'clock. Mate, just give me 30 grand. I don't ask any questions, and I promise and I'll come back with 60 for you. You don't have to do that. Okay, just hold it. I'll come back to questions. I'll give you a chance to ask questions in a second. So do you get that concept? So you get your broker to buy it on your behalf for $1. They make the money available to you, understanding that when they exercise this put option, you will actually sell it for $10. They can see the net effect. They take all their costs out of it, and you end up with the $7.80 less brokerage fees. Bob's your uncle. Is that cool?
Who's going to buy it for $10 only worth $1?
Okay. Is your car insured?
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, great. And it's insured for how much?
How much?
Okay, let's say it's insured for 50 grand. Okay? Like David's car. David, yeah? David's car is insured for 50 grand. Last year, if he had completely written it off or someone had stolen it, how much would he get paid for it?
50 grand.
And who would pay him for it?
Insurance company.
The insurance company. In other words, the person who was crazy enough to sell him that contract has to buy it from him for 50 grand, as they are legally entitled to do. In other words, the idiot who sold you this put option in the first place, thinking that this was really sexy, is who has to pay the $10. Can we give him a hand, please? Excellent. So a put option is basically a contract that allows us to sell our shares at a pre-agreed price, regardless of how much they fall in value. No matter what happens to the market, we are able to sell our shares at the pre-agreed price. Okay, who thinks that's really interesting? Now, the thing that I did not demonstrate to you is if you bought both, if you bought the shares as well as the put option, if your shares go down in value to $1, can't you still sell them for $10? Yes, you can, because your put option gives you the right to sell those same shares for $10. And in that way, you can use your put option as insurance on your shares if you had purchased both. You don't have to. So if you wanted to buy the shares and insure them, so what I'm saying to you is put options are a way of insuring your share portfolio. Okay, so remember step 1 of the protected buy right was using put options. The second step is to actually use shares. So let's talk about how we select the shares. We want capital growth from our shares, don't we? So what we can do is we can use a thing called charts to identify the trend. Okay, so let me show you what a chart is. Trends show us the general direction in which a share price is moving. I am going to go into that into a lot more detail later on, but let me just show you a picture. Whenever you use a form of analysis using charts to select your shares, it's called technical analysis. Technical analysis, okay? What we have here is a picture of the All Ordinaries Index. The All Ordinaries Index is our major index. Basically, if you take the top 300 companies, I believe, might be top 200, top 300 companies in Australia by what we call market capitalisation. In other words, the top list of companies that are worth the most if you were going to buy them outright. Not that has the highest share price. Not that has the highest share price. That as an entire company by what we call market capitalisation, and they're normally in the billions, if you were going to buy those companies outright, how much would it cost you? What I'm talking about is the companies that are in the top list of by market capitalisation. is what makes up the All Ordinaries Index. So if you wanted to get a quick snapshot of how the market's going, is it very positive or is it very bearish? Just look at the All Ordinaries Index. So I actually use the All Ordinaries Index as my gauge as to what the overall market sentiment is. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so that's what it is. So in general, the All Ordinaries has been going up. But look at this. This is the 1987 crash there. Pretty big in a very short amount of time. Look how long it took to get up. Sorry, from there. It took, and then just in a matter of days, it actually went down to there. And then it continued its way. And there's a number of severe down cycles here. That's September 11, around there. Yep. And even though that looks like a scratch on the surface, those down periods, you can absolutely make fortunes during that time if you know how to grab those opportunities. Okay, so we use charts to select shares in an uptrend. More on that later. So the third part is how we use call options. Now, who in the room actually owns some investment property? Who actually rents it out? Okay, so you rent your properties out. So you've got someone who you've provided a home to, which is a nice thing to do, and they pay you a fee for that. Great. Okay, good. What a nice thing to do. Great strategy. In other words, what you've done is, so you've purchased that property because you're hoping that it will go up in time. Yep. Or you're getting a cash flow from it that makes you happy. Okay, so either you can get positive cash flow out of it or capital growth. Or you could get both. Fantastic, great. So in other words, you're renting your house in order to get an income from it. Did you know you can do the same with your shares? Did you know there's a strategy for doing the equivalent of renting shares? Did you know that? Ah. So for a lot of these blue chip companies that are optionable, remember there's about 100 of them, maybe slightly less, about 100 of them, in owning those shares, you can actually do the equivalent of renting them out. And the way that you do that is through the use of call options. Who's fascinated by that concept? So while you're waiting for your shares to go up, in the meantime, you can actually be getting a monthly income from it. Would you like me to show you how to do that? Okay, so put options weren't enough for you. You want to know about making money? You guys really want to make a lot of money, don't you? You greedy buggers. Okay, well, why not? That's what you come in for. So I want you to imagine that a couple of years ago, you bought some shares for, say, $8.70. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. Since then, it's gone up in value. Okay? And now, and most recently, it's gone up to, say, $10.20. Would you be happy with that? Yeah. And let's assume that through this period, it was actually a bull market cycle. Yep. Do you know what a bull market is? When the market's going up in value. Yep. Okay. So you've had some capital growth added. You're pretty happy about that. But now, do markets continue just to go up and up and up and up, or do they have periods of stagnation and even periods of decline? So let's say we're going through a period of stagnation where there's not a lot more movement in this company's share price. One reason due to an economic cycle. The other reason based on the fact that this company and its managers haven't done anything really fabulous for a while, so the market hasn't found a lot more reason to continue to value the share up, because that's how it works. Okay, when companies are extremely profitable and there's certain criteria like return on equity and increasing dividends and things like the amount of debt that they have, and just a whole bunch of different criteria is what excites the market to want to own these shares. So the company hasn't done that for a while, or we're going through a period of the economic cycle that is slowing, then shares tend to stall a little bit, just as part of the natural cycle. So during those times, it would be good if you could find a way of making money out of income while you wait for it to go up. Yeah? Okay. Now, what you're able to do is sell call options. You're able to sell call options. Let me just read some words to you. A call option, these are my words, is giving someone the right to buy your shares for a pre-agreed price, called the exercise price, by a certain date. And for this privilege, the person pays us a fee called premium. So let's go through this. If you sold a call option to someone with an exercise price of $10.50, that would be giving someone else the right to buy your shares for $10.50. Now, let me ask you, at the moment, how much can they get it for? $10.20. So if while the share price is at $10.20, you sold someone else the right to buy them for $10.50, does it make sense for them to take you up on that right? No, it doesn't. But I'll get to the reasons why in a minute. Are you okay with being patient as to why they might do that? But just take it from me, just trust me for a moment, just for a couple of minutes. If you sold someone a call option that gave them the right to buy your shares at a certain price, they would pay you some premium for it. That premium becomes the income, or that premium becomes the equivalent of the rent. So I'm just going to put a number up here. Let's say you sold some call options, and I'm just going to put a number here and say you received 30 cents. Okay, now that number could be slightly more, or it could be a lot less. It depends on a lot of other factors, but let's just keep it simple for now. Is that okay? Yep, just let's keep it simple. It depends on the share and which way it's trending and liquidity and volumes and a whole bunch of other things. But let's just say you get 30 cents in premium. Am I writing too small? Is there anyone having problems seeing me from the back of the room? Peter, can you see me okay? You can, okay, good. All right, so we've received 30 cents in premium. Now, I'll get back to their reasons in a second, okay? This call option, it's a contract between two people. It's between you and the person you sold it to. And therefore, it also has an expiry date. And what I'm going to suggest to you is if you sell call options using this strategy, that you use an expiry of 1 month, therefore generating a monthly income. So let's assume that this call option is going to expire within 1 month. Okay? 1 month. So, if you've sold this call option to someone, so you own some shares, and you've sold the call option to someone. Can I choose you? Sure. Just hold up the call option. And what's your name?
Joan.
Joan? Okay. And I want you to assume that Joan has just paid me 30 cents for that call option. Are you okay with that? Now, that call option gives Joan the right to buy my shares from me for $10.50 within the next month. And for that, I get 30 cents per option, and I'm going to get into that. So let's just work on singular numbers at the moment. I get 30 cents. Is that a good deal? Is that great? Now, thanks, John. You can put your hand down. She still has that contract, but I'm just letting her keep taking notes. Okay? Well, can we call on you again soon, Joe? Fantastic. Now, let's say by the end of the month, my shares are still worth only around the $10.20 mark. Does it make any sense for Joan during that month to exercise me and buy my shares for $10.50? No, because Joan could go out to the normal market and buy those shares for $10.20. So it makes no sense for Joan to actually buy it from me for $10.50. That would be absolute madness. So, unfortunately for Joan, if that should happen, then at the end of the month, what's going to happen to that call option? It's going to expire. And who's the one who's smiling? I would be. In other words, you would be if you were the one doing this. Because you've just made, per share, you've made a profit of 30 cents. Fantastic. Now, so that's pretty good. Because you've made a 30-cent profit that you would not have had unless you wrote the call option, unless you sold the call option. By the way, when you actually sell a call option in this way, you actually are said to be writing that contract. Because I sold something. By the way, when I sold that to Joan, did I buy it in the first place? No. I sold Joan something that I hadn't purchased in the first place. In other words, I made this shit up, didn't I? In other words, I invented the concept and basically pulled it out of my brain and got 30 cents for it, didn't I? Yes. So, I've just created money out of thin air. Just on a concept. Okay. So I've got my 30 cents. Am I happy with that? Because did the share price go up? No. Okay. Well, that's one scenario. So let's say that expires and we're into the next month. Would you do it again? Well, it worked last time. So let's say we do it again. Let's say Joan would be willing to do it all again. Yeah? Or someone equivalent to Joan. Is that fair enough? And let's say we got 30 cents again. Now, remembering that number can vary. Okay, now let's say during this month, first scenario, she went flat. Let's say this month, it actually goes down. Let's say the share price goes down. Now let me ask you, how much would the share price have to go down in value this month before we start losing money?
30 cents.
It would have to go down at least 30 cents. Well, if you include last month, it'd have to go down 60 cents, wouldn't it? So let's just deal with this month. So in other words, even if the share price goes down to $9.90, we're still doing all right. We're still in front, isn't it? So what I'm suggesting is the selling of call options is a great way of actually defraying any potential losses, even if the share price goes down. Now, did we get that money in real cash? The answer is yes, we did. However, if your share price has gone down, is that a realised loss? No. Because what could happen next month? It could go back up again. So what I'm saying also here is, Joan would have actually paid us real money that we put in our pocket. But if we did see a decline in the share price, it's not a realised loss. Now, on paper, you still want to take that into account, okay? I'm not discounting that fact. You're still losing money. But what I'm saying is, even if the share price goes down, through the receiving of this call premium, you're still making up for that. Okay, you happy with that? Good. So that's two scenarios. Now, what happens if the share price goes up to, say, $10.49 that month? Would we be excited about our shares? Yes, we would, because it's gone up in value, hasn't it? It's gone up by 29 cents.
It's still under the call price.
And it's still under the call price, okay? I'm just giving you every scenario. Fantastic, you're starting to look like you're enjoying this. That's great. Okay, so we've made some capital gain on the shares, not realised yet, but we've also made some income from the call premium. So in this month, we've combined the 30 cents in premium plus the 29 cents. Yeah, we've done all right this month, haven't we? So they are three scenarios. We've done well. We've actually done all right. Would you agree with that? Yes. Okay. Now the one that you're all waiting for is the next one, isn't it? What if the share price goes through the roof? Yeah? Who wants Joan to have a turn? Put up your hand if you actually care about Joan. Joan's the only one who cares about Joan. Come on, I care about you, Joan. That's why I'm going to give you another go. It's taken you 4 goes, but anyway. All right, now, let's say this particular time the share price goes up to, say, $11.50 in this next month. Do you think Joan would be exercising her call option?
Yes.
Of course she would. And that call option would give Joan the right to buy those shares for $10.50, even though they're at $11.50. That is why she did it in the first place. Okay? That is exactly why Joan did it in the first place. Because Joan has now made a profit of $11.50 minus the $10.50 is $1, less what she paid in premium. So Joan has actually, for a 30-cent outlay, has made a 70-cent profit. Who thinks that's not a bad return for 1 month? Yeah, I mean, she's more than double the money, hasn't she? Yeah, you're smart, Joan. Okay, they're all suddenly on your side. Okay, but coming back to us, because I just want to talk from our perspective. We will get back to Joan and why she does this much later on, in about 500 hours time, okay? So, in the meantime, we were forced to sell our shares for $10.50. Therefore making, yeah, well done, Val. In other words, we've made a profit of 30 cents in the call premium plus a profit on the actual sale of our shares. So we've made another profit of 30 cents, in other words, a 60 cent profit. What could we do the following month? You could buy other shares or buy the same shares again and just do the same thing all over and over and over and over again. Why wouldn't you? Don't you get rent out of your houses? Yes. There you go. Who thinks that's pretty amazing? Are you really happy with that? So now you're happy to learn how call options work? Okay, so remember the first thing was we bought some put options, okay? We bought some put options. That was the first thing we did. That creates our insurance. We then buy some shares. We then sell some call options. That's the strategy. So hold there for a second. More to tell you on that. Is it okay if I give you a bit more? Who's ready to go home yet? No, night's only young. So basically, each month, we could write call options on our shares that expire at the end of the month. Okay, the process of selling is called writing, because remember we invented it, we pulled it out of our brains. That's exactly right. Okay, and in so doing, we generate a monthly income. This provides a regular return on our shares, regardless of what direction the share price moves in. That's pretty good, isn't it? Now the process of writing call options on shares we own, like we did then, is called writing covered calls. The reason why it's covered writing, because we explained that one already, the reason why it's covered is we've sold call options that should we get exercised, we actually have the shares to sell. So we've covered the position. Okay? Not to be confused with some people who write call options without owning the shares. It's a lot more risky strategy. Okay, so we're not going into that now. So let me go through an example using the protected buy right. So let's say we're thinking about buying some shares and the price is currently at $11.30. We're just thinking about buying those shares. Have we bought them yet? No, we're just thinking about it. Now that you are aware of put options, you know when you're buying a new car or replacing your car, whether it's a second hand, whatever, it's new to you, you know how it always makes sense to get the insurance in place first before you purchase the car or drive it out of the lot? Same thing here. So, the first thing you would do is actually purchase some put options. So what I'm going to propose to you is just an example. You don't have to do any of this, obviously. I'm not recommending that you necessarily do it, but I'm just going to share some concepts with you. Well, what I could do is I could buy a 12-month put option with an exercise price of $11. So strike price and exercise price, same thing. Okay? So $11, I'm buying a put option. Put. And I'm actually buying this one. Now let me ask you, how long is it valid for? 12 months. So isn't that equivalent to insurance then? Okay, it's valid for 12 months. And how much are we paying for it? $1.50. So I'm going to put minus $1.50 because that's what we're paying. Okay, so that's the first part of the scenario using the protected buy right. The second one is next we could actually purchase the shares, and the shares are at a price of $11.30. Now there's some complicated reasons why we've chosen that particular exercise price. By the way, these exercise prices, we don't create them. They're actually in bands in certain spots that are made available to us through a company called the Options Clearinghouse. They administer all of the options market, because remember we've got the share market and we've got the options market. So this organisation manages what happens there. Between the two companies, they say that for any shares that are above, say, $10, these exercise prices are normally in increments of 50 cents. So it'd be $10, $10.50, $11, $11.50, etc., etc. And below $10, they're in smaller bands, and then below $5, they're in smaller bands again. Okay, that's how it works. So this $11, we would have looked it up, and I'll show you how to go and get information about this later on. We looked up and said, what is the closest put option in terms of exercise price to the share price that we got at the moment, and how much is it, and then we would purchase that one. Okay, next we would buy the shares. And then finally, what is the thing that we now know that we should be doing if we bought these shares? We could write calls. Well done. Well done, Joe. So we could then write calls, and once again we would pick an exercise price that was available to us. In this case, that is immediately above the share price. So call, and we would sell these ones. And for that we would receive some money, wouldn't we? And in this case, let's say in this example, we'd be receiving 50 cents. Now 50 cents is possibly a bit on the high side, but you get the concept. Yep. All right. So we're receiving 50 cents. Now, so basically what we've got is a scenario where we've insured our shares by purchasing this put option, and then we're getting income from it by selling these call options. By the way, this call option is valid for how long? 1 month. 1 month. 1 month. But the put option is valid for 12 months. Fantastic. Now, whenever you use a put options in this manner to insure a share portfolio, it's called hedging. It's called hedging. Okay? Now, let me ask you, if we didn't have this put option here, what is our maximum risk on these shares? $11.30, because they could go from $11.30 down to zero. However, in having the put option, our risk is minimised to only the difference between these two prices, because remember, if the share price goes down, you can still sell it for $11. Yep, so you can the most you can lose there is 30 cents. However, you've also paid for the put option $1.50. So your risk, instead of being $11.30 without the put option, is now reduced to only $1.80, which is the 30 cents there plus how much you paid. Okay? So it's a big difference in the amount of risk. Now let's examine this investment. Now we paid $1.50 for the puts, didn't we? For the put options. That limited our exposure to only 30-cent loss per share. Okay. Now, however, that's valid for 12 months, and we are selling or writing 1 month call options. Now let's assume, all things being equal, the perfect scenario, and that would be that over the 12-month period you would collect numerous amounts of 50 cents, wouldn't you? In fact, you could get how many of them? 12 times it. Yes. $6 worth. Okay, here we go. Well done. Fantastic. So at this rate, it means that our hedge will be paid for in what amount of time? 3 months. Okay? Now bearing in mind, that would be a perfect scenario, and is that realistic? No, because share prices don't just go that way, and you don't just keep getting 50 cents on the sideways trading share anyway. But you get the principle. Yeah? So, in other words, if this put option is valid for 12 months, and within the first 3 months, we're going to recover the cost of our hedge, it might be 4 months or 5 months if this was less, obviously. It means that the balance of whatever is remaining up to the 12 months is absolutely pure profit from the call premium. In other words, the insurance is paid for. Okay, good. Okay, now how do options work? Options are basically a contract between two parties. The person on the left, in this case, is the taker. In other words, that is the person who purchases the option, who buys the option. The person on the right, in this case, is the writer. The writer is simply the person who created that option. Be it a put option or a call option, the writer is the person who creates it. Therefore, the taker, the one who buys the option, pays a fee called premium to the writer. And therefore, the motivation for the writer is generally that they after premium. That's why they do it. That would be primarily. There are some exceptions to that, but primarily why people write options is to get premium. So the taker can sell that option at any time. So in other words, when we sold Joan that call option before, that Joan paid 30 cents for, any time through the term of that option contract, Joan can sell that option to somebody else.
Same expiry date?
And it maintains the expiry date. Very good question. You see, who wrote the call option? I did. And when I do that, I have an obligation to Joan. It's actually a three-party arrangement. I actually sell my call option to the options clearinghouse. The options clearinghouse then sells option contracts to other people. So what I've got to do is I've got to provide my shares as collateral to the options clearinghouse in case they get exercised so they can exercise me. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's guaranteed in that way. It's protected, that's why it works. So, in other words, if I've sold my call option to the options clearinghouse and they've then made it available to the market and Joan was the one that picked it up, I don't actually know who Joan is. I don't actually care. I just want my 30 cents. Okay, now, through that process, Joan can actually put that contract back on the market to try and make a short-term profit, which will simply be the difference between what Joan paid in premium to me, okay, versus what she'll get for it. Therein lies her profit. So what I'm suggesting to you is, people may purchase call options with no intention of ever exercising it. They may simply buy those call options. I'm doing this a bit premature. That Joan might have simply bought that call option simply to benefit from the increasing premium value of that call option when the share price goes up. Because as the share price goes up, that call option will go up in value because it'll become more sought after. And if you think of it this way, the higher the share price goes up, the closer you are to having the right to exercise that call option from Joan's perspective. That's why it goes up in value. Now that's a very complicated subject in itself. I can't believe I actually went that far, but you guys all nodding your heads, so I'm glad I covered it. Very good. So Joan could actually literally buy that call option for 30 cents and then sell it to someone else for 40 cents, therefore making a profit. Okay. Now the writer on the other hand, in other words me, or in our example, us, yeah, we are the people who invented it and pulled it out of our brains. That's right. Okay. We have an obligation until that call option expires. We have an obligation. So whoever Joan sells that to, the same expiry, the same obligation will just go with that contract. Okay? So if that person then decides to exercise their call option, they would exercise the options clearinghouse and they would come after me. Okay, that's how it works. So, how options work. A contract consists of 1,000 shares. So one call option consists of 1,000 shares. So by writing one call option contract, we are controlling a parcel of 1,000 shares. So just stay with me. So let's say we owned 2,000 of these shares, just looking at the board for a second. If we own 2,000 shares, that will allow us to sell 2 call option contracts. And so if we were making 50 cents each, you would simply take the 2 call option contracts, which is relating to 1,000 shares. So that 1,000 times 50 cents, sorry, in this case it's 2 contracts, so it's 2,000 times 50 cents equals $1,000 in call premium. So if it is true that the average household expenses is $4,000, I've just shown you a way of reducing that by 1/4. Haven't I? That's pretty significant, don't you think? Who could do with an extra $1,000 a month in their life? 3 people? Right. Okay. Now, this $1,000 that we're talking about in this example does not include any capital growth in the shares, does it? That would be an additional bonus. So, let's talk about the return on investment for this strategy. Returns for this strategy vary depending on the volatility of the share. So when I talk about volatility, what I'm talking about is the rate at which not only a share goes up and down in value, but also in what time frame. So a share that simply goes up and down in value over a long time is not necessarily a volatile share, but one that goes up and down in value in short time frames and does it repeatedly is considered to be a more volatile share. Okay, so volatility is simply a measure of how much a share fluctuates in value within a certain time frame. Shares with a higher volatility return higher call premiums. Shares with higher volatility return higher call premiums. However, the higher the volatility of the share, the more risk in owning that share, isn't it? So there's always a trade-off. Remember I said to you at the start, beware of anyone who ever offers you a high return investment at low risk. It simply doesn't exist. The two go hand in hand. Whenever you increase the potential return, you will always increase the level of risk. So beware of that. Okay, beware of that. Liquidity. Let's talk about liquidity. Liquidity is about how many buyers and sellers there are available in the market. In other words, when we decide to actually sell some call options, would it be good if there's someone out there willing to buy it from us for 30 to 50 cents in this example? Yes. So by focusing on only the blue chip shares, the big ones, you'll find that the liquidity of options is far greater. In other words, there's always at least someone willing to buy your call options from you with the belief the share price might go up. Okay, so we focus on the blue chips. Another name for this is open interest. Open interest. So in other words, call options as an example with high open interest means that it is easy for us to sell them. And also easy to receive a decent enough premium for it. So we want to only trade options on shares with high liquidity. So how it works is I can't tell you what they are, can I? Because that's like illegal. But if you've heard of the company before, there's a pretty good chance it's highly liquid. But I will be showing you very shortly where you can go looking to find this information. Would that be useful? Okay. So I don't have to tell you. I'm not allowed to tell you exactly what to, I can't tell you what to buy. But if I show you where to go and find the list, well, that's not me then, is it? Okay, very good. Okay, so which shares have the most liquidity? There's two words. Blue chip. Okay. Let's talk about defensive strategies. Anyone feeling a little defensive at the moment? Or is it just me? Okay. Okay. Let's talk about defensive action. This strategy is designed, the protected buy right strategy, is designed to accommodate any market condition. Any market condition. Because you've got three inherent components, how many investment strategies normally have three inherent components? It's normally only one, isn't it? Yeah? For most people. Actually, I'll withdraw that comment. It's not necessarily the case. Anyway, therefore, part of the management of the strategy is to take appropriate defensive action depending on what conditions arises in the market. What did you say was the worst thing that can happen in the share market? You can experience that thing called a market crash. Isn't that like the worst thing that people are most afraid of when it comes to buying shares? Yes. So what I decided to do was show you how to make money out of the worst scenario. Would that be fair to say that anything in between is like largely insignificant then? Would you like me to show you how to make money in a market crash using this strategy? Yes? How many people would be interested in that? Okay, a little more than 3 people, that's good. Okay, so what to do in a market crash? As the strategy is capital guaranteed by the put options, we are protected on the downside, aren't we? Yes. This is assuming that it's within the expiry of the put option. Yep. Okay. Now, our charts, our technical analysis will help us make a decision on what action to take. Now, you looked at a chart a bit earlier. If you own some shares and you knew about charts, do you think you would want to look at your charts fairly often? Yes, so you would be addicted to them, wouldn't you? That's pretty normal. So if your share has traditionally been going this way, in other words, up, do you think you'd notice if it suddenly started to do this? Yep. Yes, good. Okay. Now, this is the scenario. Remember, we bought one of those, and we bought that, and then we sold those. So I want you to imagine that there was a situation where, the news was like, the market's bad, everything's pessimistic and everything like that, and you've actually seen on your charts that the shares are starting to go down. Okay? As you've just said, you would notice, and you would notice it. Because market crashes don't just do that. Okay? They do give you some warning. There's normally a lot of stuff that happens that you'd be aware of if you were watching it. The thing that I haven't told you yet is this. When you sell call options, you actually have to provide your shares as collateral to the options clearing house. In other words, while you've got call options outstanding with Joan or someone else, you can't sell your shares. Okay, because they're actually being used as security. So what would you do if you wanted to sell your shares? Well, the first thing you'd have to do is to get out of that commitment. The way that you get out of the commitment, you see, a call option has 4 components to it. It's really 3 components plus the fact that it's a call option. One is that it relates to a particular share. Okay, so it's a XYZ call option. Then it also has an exercise price. In this case, it's a $11.50 XYZ call option. And it has an expiry date, which is 1 month, which month are we in? November, which means it would be the end of November, say for example. So the fact that it's got an exercise price, an expiry date, and it's related to a particular share, and it's a call option, those are the 4 components that make it unique. Do you get what I'm saying? So if we had sold an $11.50 XYZ call option expiring at the end of November and had sold it to Joan, but decided we needed to sell our shares, all we would have to do is go back out to the marketplace and buy the same thing. In other words, we would have sold an XYZ $11.50 November call option. If we then go and buy the same one, the same type of call option with exactly the same 4 components, it doesn't have to be that one, but with the same 4 components. The process of actually having sold one and then buying another one will negate the 2. It will actually remove your obligation. Pardon?
So then you can sell your shares.
And then you can sell your shares. Well done. Okay, now, if the shares have started to go down in value, there is a likely chance that the call option would also have gone down in value. So you may, in this example, have sold it for 50 cents, but you're actually going to buy another one back to close out that one. You might only be paying 30 cents. But don't get too caught up in the numbers. I mean, that makes you a profit, but I don't want you to concentrate and focus there. That's not where I want to put your attention. But isn't it good to know that you can buy it back and actually still make some money? Okay? So let's say we did buy it back. In other words, we found another person selling one of those call options, and because it was blue chip, it wasn't a problem because we chose it well in the first place when we sold it. Okay? Now that we've bought their call option back and we're out of that commitment, what can we do? We can now sell the shares. So let's take a little bit of money out of this. Let's say the share price has gone down to, say, it's gone down below there. Let's say by the time we notice all of this, we're a bit slow, and let's say the shares are now at $10.30. Okay, so we've lost $1 on the share. Is that fair enough? Yep. Okay, so we've made, so we're selling our shares for $10.30. In other words, we've lost, so we made about 20 cents in the call options originally by buying them back, didn't we? We made that, and now we've lost $1 on the shares, haven't we? Minus $1. So that's on the shares. Would you agree with that? Yeah, because we're only selling. So that's not looking too exciting at the moment, is it? Okay. So that's rid of that, but this $10.30 is back in our bank account, isn't it? Yep. But admittedly, it's not a good scenario because we've actually lost some money, haven't we? Yes. However, if we now, so we bought back the calls, we sold the shares, in other words, we're still left with one piece of paper, it's handwritten, which is called a put option. What can you tell me about put options? What happens when share prices go down? They go up. So, if you hang on to this, while the shares that this relates to continues to go down, do we still own those shares? No, we don't. So if the share price, which we no longer own, now goes down to, say, I don't know, let's make it really severe, $1, which isn't extreme, but it gets the point across. This put option still gives us the right to sell those $1 shares for $11 in this case. So what can we instruct our broker to do? We can say, dear broker, please can you go and purchase those shares for $1 and sell them for $11, therefore making a profit on the put option of $10 minus what you paid for it and all that sort of stuff, etc., etc. You still come up with a whopping big profit, don't you? Would you agree with that? Okay, fantastic. So you're all very happy with that? Yeah? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Now there's one thing I just want to absolutely confuse you. Who's ready to be confused?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't actually have to go through the process of buying those shares and then selling them. What actually happens in the process, this put option will naturally massively go up in value, and all you have to do is simply find a buyer for the increased premium value of the put option. It's only if you can't find a buyer for the increased premium option, premium value, that you then go and exercise the person who sold it to you. And so you've got two choices of making your money. Does it make sense? So technical analysis and the charts help us make a decision on what action to take. If the market were to crash, we would buy back the calls at a lower price, sell the shares, and then hang on to the put options, which will be increasing in value with the market fall. This could end up an extremely profitable situation because we would be able to cash in the puts when the market settled and then either repurchase the shares at a much cheaper price in order to sell them, or simply sell the put option. So, would you like to know where to get more information about options? Sources of options information. Firstly, Australian Stock Exchange website, www.asx.com.au. Okay, that's a great, useful tool. It's a free service. Do we all use the internet? If not, here's your chance. Okay, here's your chance. The only problem with the ASX website is the 20-minute delays. In other words, the information is 20 minutes out of date. Now, let me give you an absolute guarantee. Which, like, don't presenters normally give you a guarantee and lots of promises? I'm going to give you my guarantee. I guarantee you, if you rush home and start putting real money and massive amounts of money into these strategies, you will lose it! Because this is a skill that comes with lots of practice. So I guarantee you're going to lose money. Any questions about that? No, good. You get that one, Chris? Good. This is a skill that comes with practice. So you have to practice, practice, practice. And the amazing thing about things like the ASX website and all the other tools I'm going to give you is you can get all the information and pretend you've got money in the market and convince yourself that I'm not full of crap first, and then also convince yourself that you really can do this before you would even consider using real money. Yeah? So if you get on the ASX website and you say, okay, well, you know, XYZ shares are like, you know, $7.30, well, I'll just find a put option below. How much would I pay? Good. Then I'll look at call options on the ASX website. Let's pretend I'm selling those and I get, you know, 30 cents, 40 cents, whatever. Well, then you just watch it every day. And then at the end of a couple of months or weeks or whatever, you think, oh, I'm a bit more comfortable now. And then you might consider real money. So what I'm suggesting is that you paper trade, please, paper trade first. Because let's put it another way. Let's say you'd never driven a car. Let's say you'd never ever driven a car, right? And I show up at the front with one of my fancy cars. And I say, hey, hop in here, Joan. See this thing here on the bottom, on the right? If you want to go faster, you just press that one. If things start coming up towards you too fast and you get scared, press the one to the left of it. And occasionally, if you want to like go different ways, just turn this thing a bit. How do you think you would end up? With a big crash, wouldn't you? Yeah? Because, firstly, you haven't learnt the road rules, right? Secondly, you haven't had any practice in a car. Yet people will rush out there on hot tips and go and put money on a share they've never heard of. They know nothing about the company, but a friend of a friend of a friend whose dog went for a walk on the beach with the other friend with a cat said that this is the thing you've got to put your money on, and then they'll go and buy it. I didn't say it. Why would you do that? So firstly, it takes lots of practice and understanding what you're doing before you actually go and make financial decisions.